this was all circulating around the base that a giant had been killed, but no one was supposed to talk about it.
I saw 3 long, bony fingers reach up underneath the door, curl up to grab it, and then disappear.
When he came over to me, dude, he slithered over to me.
And this giant comes out of the cave, and they're all frozen. And he starts running and firing at this giant. Well, the giant moves. He's got a spear in one hand, and he's running really fast and spears Dan and holds him up like this. Somebody yells, shoot him in the face, shoot him in the face. They basically decapitate him.
Got closer. When he got about 15 yards away from me, I raised that 12 gauge and I blowed his head off.
I feel something pulling at my leg, and I look over and there are 2 small gray entities pulling at me. And they're literally, I'm getting pulled off the bed.
I reached my hand into this bush and I touched air. Couldn't breathe and I couldn't move because I know I'm seeing a monster.
Yep. Welcome to the show, everybody. You're listening to The Confessionals. I am your host, Tony Merkel. Thank you for being here. If you've had an encounter or a story you'd like to share with me on the show, go ahead and shoot me an email. My email address is theconfessionals@theconfessionalspodcast.com. That's theconfessionals@theconfessionalspodcast.com. Or go to the website, theconfessionalspodcast.com. Hit the contact section and you can reach me that way as well. Either way works for me. Just get a hold of me. If you want more shows every week, on Thursdays, we release a bonus show to members only on the website. So if you want more of The Confessionals on a weekly basis, just go to theconfessionalspodcast.com, hit the join button, and become a member today. And friends, we got a crazy show for you today. And if this show doesn't get you prepared, I don't know what will. We offer preparedness food at preparewiththeconfessionals.com. That's preparewiththeconfessionals.com. There you can get emergency supplies that will last you up to 25 years shelf life. If you get a 4-week supply, we'll knock $100 off for you right there on the spot. There's tons of stuff on that website. Go ahead and check it out right now at preparewiththeconfessionals.com. Now we're calling all internet sleuths today. We're calling all internet sleuths. We have the Holosky Podcast guys on, Kyle and Steve, and they have some crazy paranormal conspiratorial stuff going on with their show. And I know right now everybody's saying, wait, did he just say conspiratorial? I thought he said he was done doing conspiracies. A lot of people misunderstood what I was saying. What I meant when I said I wasn't doing any more conspiracies on the show was that I'm not going to take what's going on in the world right now today and project it as to what's coming down the road in the future. That kind of stuff is not going to be on the show. It's going to be on my other show that I'm starting. I started my own radio station. It's called Rage Radio, and I'm going to have a show on there called Rage Against Dystopia, and other people's shows will be on there too, pertaining to the real world that we're living in and where it's freaking going. But that's not what I was talking about with this show. I'm still going to do Men in Black kind of things, MK Ultra, and today's show is along those lines. Not MK Ultra, not Men in Black, but they have some crazy experiences going on with their podcast right now. It is a live, active situation, and you're going to hear me get tripped out during this episode because I was tripping. I didn't know what I was getting involved in. A listener of both our shows contacted me and said, you might want to talk to those guys. They got some crazy stuff going on. I reached out to them and asked them if they wanted to come on and talk about some of the crazy things that are happening with their show. They said yes. Here we are. We recorded it. I had no idea how deep this rabbit hole is going to go, but you're going to hear it all today. And then we do a second half of the show. So this first half is for you guys, and then we're going to do a second half for the overtime segment on the website for members, where we're going to go into their paranormal experiences, and that itself is bonkers. We're talking about aliens, alien abductions, wild, crazy dogs that are crawling on roofs and slamming the doors trying to get into their house. It was a bananas overtime segment as well, and it's all ready to go right now there for you on the membership website in the overtime segment. Now, we're going to get to these guys in a second, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a trailer for the overtime segment so you hear hear one of the stories that we're getting into. Crazy experiences, crazy talking with these guys. They're awesome. They're easy to talk to and they're easy to listen to. Let's get to the trailer and then this episode right now.
I look over and there's this big black dog at the front of my house. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. So I try walking up to it, and because it looked kind of like a black lab. I mean, it was dark out, but it reminded me of a black lab. And labs are typically pretty friendly animals. Walked up to it, and it started to growl at me. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go ahead and go inside. I'm not dealing with this dog. I go inside, look out the kitchen window, which is probably 8 feet off the ground, and I don't see the dog out there. So I'm thinking, all right, well, it must have left. And it wasn't 2 seconds after that, the dog, its head was in that window. It had jumped up into the window, and it like snapped at me. And I'm like, what in the hell is going on? Like, I've never seen anything like this. So I just kind of brush it off. I see the dog walk in front of the garage to around the house. I'm like, all right, well, maybe it's leaving. So this is going to show my age. I jump on MSN Messenger, start talking with my girlfriend, chatting her up, and my mom's in the same room. She's sleeping on the couch. Well, all of a sudden, I start hearing pitter-patters on the roof, running across the roof. And if my wife was here, she could finish the story for me. I'm sitting there on MSN Messenger, and I message her and I say, I think somebody's trying to break into my house. And she's like, what? Are you serious? I'm like, I can hear someone running on the roof. And so I try waking my mom up. My mom's like, you're nuts, go to bed. So I'm like, great, now I got to deal with this myself. I hear it a couple more times, and then it stops. So I'm like, whatever. I'm messaging her, and I'm like, you know what? This is just too stressful. I'm gonna go to bed. Well, as I get off there, start walking down to my bedroom, and I start hearing this loud banging, like boom, 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 boom. And right before my bedroom, there was a little offshoot of the hallway that we called the utility room. I had the washer and dryer in there, a single bathroom, and then a door that led outside. And whatever it was beating on that door. It was just going boom, 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 boom. And I stood there and looked at that door and was utterly terrified. And it seemed like, I'm like, okay, I'm going to my bedroom. Walked into my bedroom, and then all of a sudden the banging started underneath the window. Boom, 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 boom.
All right, today we got Kyle and Steve from the Holosky Podcast. We got the Holosky guys. What's up?
You got it.
How you guys doing?
What's going on? Hey, we're doing good. We're great. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Listen, you guys, first of all, I want to tell you, I was looking at your website. Very clean looking. I like it. And your logo, very simple. I like it a lot. Did you guys make that yourself or what?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yep.
Well, it's awesome. It has just that, I don't know, it has a certain aesthetic to it that I'm just like, it's simple. It's simple and I like it.
That's how I like it, man. That's how I just got done designing Patreon shirts, and that's how I like it. Just nice, simple, one color, nice and clean.
Clean is a great word.
Yes.
That's how it's very clean. It makes me feel very ready for some kind of Twilight Zone crap happening in my life,
Well, you're going to get it.
That's
what we're going for.
And that's what we got tonight. So listen, fellas, how this all came about was, I know you guys follow me, especially on Instagram, because I'm pretty much active on Instagram only as far as doing interaction. And I see you guys pop in on the live videos, things like that, and I'm calling your freaking podcast Holosky Podcast. listen, I'm telling you straight up, the reason why that happens is because so many people have weird looking names. And so when you're reading people's names in the chat as they comment things to kind of engage with the audience, I'm so used to reading everything as one word, just boom. Holosky was Holosky. And I think you even corrected me a couple of times, and I'm like, great.
Yeah, I did.
Holosky it is.
Yeah. I was like, Tony, I actually spelled out hollow and then sky, and then you still mispronounced it. And I'm like, okay, you got it. Roll with it. Yeah, you got it.
Listen, everybody really grossly overestimates my bandwidth in my brain. So, so you guys pop in there a lot. And I had a listener reach out to me, and they said that you need to check out the Holosky Podcast. They have some really crazy stuff going on, and they described it to me as basically like there was some kind of conspiracy going on with your show. And I went over to your show and I started tapping around it, but I really couldn't find what they were talking about. So I just reached right out to you and I was like, what's going on? And you're like, dude, there's crazy stuff going on. And I'm like, you want to talk about it? Let's do this, And so here we are. So what I want is, I don't care who talks first or how you want to do it. But I want you guys to start straight up from the beginning. Your podcast, what you guys typically do on your podcast. How did you get involved with this, and how did this all unfold? Just take it away, fellas.
Go for it, Steve.
Yeah. So, I mean, we pretty much just pick a paranormal topic and then we talk about it. That's kind of the premise of our show. We also feature like listener call-ins and talk about that. And we got a pretty small media presence, so we just do it for fun, just as is. So I was looking up a topic one day and I came across these flyers that were popping up on Reddit that people have been talking about, these dream flyers. And I'm like, well, that could be kind of cool, I'll look into that. So as I was looking, there was one that was pretty fresh that had just popped up that had been found in Austin. So I'm like, I'm going to do a show on this. I'll buy a burner phone. We'll call all these weird numbers. We'll just make a run with it. So
hold on a second. These dream flyers have what, random numbers on them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
phone numbers.
So the point of a dream flyer, because I've never heard of a dream flyer. You just call the numbers and see what happens?
No. Well,
I've got them pulled up. I can read. I can read them for you if you'd like.
Gotcha. Please, because I'm clueless. This probably the audience is like, you don't know what a dream flyer is? No, I know what I know what a dream catcher is. Is that the same thing? So.
Dude, I was in the same boat when he presented this to me. He's like, look at these flyers I found on Reddit, and look at the questions they're asking, and I'm like, we got to talk about it. Like, this is I've never seen anything like this before.
All right. So one of the first ones is called the Willamette Valley Dream Survey. And the flyer says, have you been having strange dreams? The Willamette Valley Dream Survey is investigating a recent spike in bizarre, unexplainable dreams. If you have been experiencing any unusual dream activity, you can help by reporting a summary. Please call this number. So you call it. It gives this voicemail, just recant your dream. And then that was that. So as I'm digging, I find a second one. It is the Happy Valley Dream Survey. Dig into that. I call it, have you been having strange dreams? The Happy Valley Dream Survey is investigating a recent spike in bizarre and unexplainable dreams. If you've been experiencing any unusual dream activity, you can help by reporting a summary, and it's a different number. So we called that one on the show live. That one, it's different than the first one, and I think we got a text back from the number almost immediately. Thank you for contacting the Happy Valley Dream Survey. We would like to have further contact. Reiterating your dream. Whenever they ask for your dreams, I just kind of just made up stuff as I went just to try to kind of bait them in there, But they never text me back. Didn't think anything of it. Enter the third dream flyer. This one says, strange. See something, say something. If you remember things differently from how it was, have ever found repeating numbers or words, have experienced deja vu or miracles, know the existence of any greater entity, have good, bad, or any luck of any kind, hear voices that will never be real, see things that should not be, have a distrust of mirrors, or are drawn to caverns, please contact this number. So that one is way different.
Yeah, that's way different, but it also described pretty much every human being on Earth. There's something in there that for everybody pretty much.
So we have this listener, and he kind of keeps track of what we do. He likes to remain anonymous. I sent him the flyer, and he's like, everything they post in there pretty much ticks every box on a schizophrenia like checklist. Like if you're going to diagnose schizophrenics, a lot of these are very similar. So I'm like, well, that's pretty weird. Like, why are they trying to garner to this demographic? So I call the number, and I leave this dream about being in a cave or just pretty much everything that they said, just to see if I could get a response. And sure enough, they sent us back. We actually have a recording of the voicemail that you receive when you call the number. I'm not going to put the number out because we're not really sure what is going on exactly, but we will play. This is the voicemail that you'll get whenever you call the number.
Industries, your call is very valuable to us. We apologize as we currently do not have any available agents at this time. Please leave a detailed description, the whereabouts, date, and time of your witnessed event after the tone. Our agents may try to contact you or select you. Do not be alarmed. Thank you.
Well, that's creepy.
Yeah.
A little bit.
That was kind of my take on it as well.
All right. So that phone call that you got, was that to the burner phone? You're doing all this on the burner phone?
Yes.
Okay.
That was us contacting the number. We didn't get that call. That's their voicemail.
Okay. So you were just smart enough to record that and have that available.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
From there, they send us a text message to the burner phone. And it's Egress Industries is in search of interesting occurrences to research and understand. We're a curious team. Would you like to tell us how you found us? So I'm like, all right, we found you from a flyer. And I'm like, can you tell me more about what Egress Industries is? And they basically repeat the same thing. So as we're going along, there's a little bit of correspondence, and it kind of tapers off after about 3 weeks, and we kind of just walk away from it. Come December, we get a message on Reddit, and Reddit's like, hey, there is a YouTuber that's looking into the same flyers that you're looking into, and he's having some crazy stuff go on. So I'm like, all right, that's weird. So they give me this guy's information, and I contact him. And we do a voice call, and we're talking, and he's telling us that like he contacted this Egress Industries, and they're triangulating his phone, and they're hacking his phone and all this stuff. And I'm like, man, that's wild. Do you want to come on the show? And we'll do an interview. So we get Bob, that's this guy's name. We get him on the show. And we're called, like we sat like we did, and we talked for probably 2 hours, just shooting it, and then we start recording. And we're talking about our experiences with Egress and all this other stuff. And all of a sudden he's like, you're not going to believe what I just got. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he sends me a screenshot. And from the Egress number, he gets a text message that says, tell Holosky hello.
No way.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like,
Dude, it freaked us out.
Dude, Kyle was about to lose it. And
hold on a second. So he had a screenshot of,
yeah, we have it,
of the number texting him to say hello to Holosky.
Yeah.
While you guys were talking.
Yeah.
Why we were recording the episode.
Wow.
And then like Steve mentioned, he was this guy that we were interviewing was recording a documentary in Kentucky, and he was in the middle of nowhere, and he had his GPS coordinates texted to his phone from this number.
Which, I mean, depending on where you're at, seems illegal to be able to.
Yeah. I mean, we're not going to worry about trying to justify what's legal and what's not here.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean,
yeah.
Like we all agree that there are high powers in this world that don't give a crap about following the laws that work.
Right.
Rules for thee, not for me. Right. So,
right.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm nervous talking to you guys right now.
Awesome. So,
and I like it.
Another thing that with this Redditor who contacted Steve to get in contact with Bob, this same Redditor was doing the same thing to Bob, messaging him about us. It was almost like it was trying to put us together. And as the story starts to unfold, we start trying to come up with theories on what could actually be going on. And Steve he didn't necessarily go down this road first, but he started to bring up, he's like, I wonder if this Redditor is trying to pull our legs, because he's clearly trying to manipulate us and Bob into contacting each other and furthering a story. So from there, I'll let Steve pick back up on the rest of the things that transpired that night, which it took what you just got, what you just reacted to, and made that nothing.
Oh, snap. Listen, I'm digging it. Let's go.
Also, when Bob was in Kentucky and he received his coordinates, they also decided to delve into Bob's personal life, tell him exactly where he lived, exactly where he worked.
Oh, yeah.
All like deep stuff. So after they text Bob that text message, he just says, why do you say that? Because we didn't even actually plan the interview until the day of, and we didn't start recording at any given time at all. Like we just wing it.
Yeah.
Like we're pretty bad at time management, so we just let it rip.
So Bob or you guys, nobody posted online, on Reddit?
No.
How did you guys communicate? Before you started talking that day and called each other, how did you communicate?
Facebook Messenger. Yeah.
Okay, we got a ding 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 right there. Okay.
Yeah, because Bob originally was going to go live and wanted us to talk, but we were both working, so I'm like, you know what, my next day off, I'll get Kyle over here, we'll just run with it, see what happens. So the day of, I'm like, hey, me and Kyle are both free. Are you free? He's like, yep. And we just sent it.
Okay.
So after he gets the tell Holosky hello text message, he goes, why do you say that? Just kind of fishing for details. And they send back, science is always discovering odd scraps of magical wisdom and making a tremendous fuss about its cleverness. We look it up and it's an Aleister Crowley quote.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm like, yeah, that's gotta be a quote from somewhere. So I'm Googling it and I'm like, all right, great.
Yeah, because it was very specific. And then as we were kind of spitballing there, like if you break that phrase down, it was almost like they were answering the questions we were asking, because we were like, how are they doing this? Are they in our phones? Like, what is going on right now? And then that quote came through and it was almost like exactly what we were trying to do. Like they were just mocking us.
Unbelievable.
So after the initial shock wore off, I'm like, this is pretty weird, man. And Kyle's jumping to the worst conclusions ever. Like,
oh yeah, dude, there's one thing that I don't mess with. I don't like the occult at all.
Makes two of us.
Because me and it took everything in me to post this episode, because I wasn't even going to post it because I was so worked up about it. And one day I made Steve sit down with me and run over facts and everything we knew. But like I told Steve, by the end of it, I'm like, dude, when it comes to the occult and these types of situations, I'm like, it's almost like you got two types of people here. You have people who are talking to the devil. That's not cool. Or you have people who think they're talking to the devil, which is equally not cool.
Right.
I'm like, so either way for me, like cash me out of it. I'm done. I don't want to deal with the occult stuff, man.
Yeah, I can understand that. And I mean, once you find out where that quote comes from, backed up by what you guys had experienced, I can imagine you're on edge. I mean, I would be extremely on edge. Let me ask you this question before we go any further. Do you have that phone on you right now?
The burner?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, just stop saying whatever you're saying. If you get a text message from it, especially if it involves me, don't hold out on me. I need to know these things. Okay?
Well, Tony, as the story progresses, they don't need the burner phone anymore.
Oh gosh. All right. Just go.
So I'm kind of way more reactionary than Kyle is. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, if these dudes are listening to us, prove it, So I call them out. I ask a question just on the recording as we're recording.
Oh, we're not even recording at this point. The mics, everything's off. Except that we're still able to talk to Bob.
You're right. We were still going through Facebook voice. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to call him out. I'm just going to ask a question. Then Bob gets another text message. It says, "It's beyond comprehension, Stephen. Ordinary morality is only for ordinary people." I'm like, oh, damn, that's my name. Cool.
Wow.
So it's from there. They send one last message and it says, "Falsehood is invariably the child of fear in one form or another. They give us coordinates." And it says, "Good night, boys. The Illinois skies are dark tonight."
All right. So you guys are in Illinois, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And the coordinates, I'm assuming, is somebody's house.
That's what we initially thought. Because when that came through, he made us stop recording. He's like, "You're going to want to turn everything off now."
Because he thought it was coordinates to one of our homes.
And that's what shook me to the core, was because I wasn't at home. I'm at Steve's house. And that's the first thing that, just like it would in your mind, the first thing you're going to think about. And I started to panic. Like I was, Lord, do not let this be what I think it is. And thankfully, it wasn't.
Hold on a second. So you cut out there for a second. You said you were what?
I said, hopefully it wasn't what I thought it was, which would be coordinates to my home or Steve's or anything like that. And it turns out that it wasn't. It was coordinates to Somerset, Kentucky.
Somerset, Kentucky?
Yeah.
Which we have no affiliation with.
But that's where Bob was doing his recording for the documentary.
Was he there at that time when you guys were talking?
No.
So
not to our knowledge, no.
Okay, so that means that whatever or whoever this is knew that he had affiliation there and wanted to. Wow. We didn't establish this yet on this interview, but I just want to ask you, and if it comes up later, then we'll go into it later. Do we ever find out if this is a person, a thing, or anything, or are we still trying to figure that out?
Still trying to figure it out.
Okay, fair enough. Carry on, guys. Carry on.
So afterwards, we end the episode and we talk a little bit, and we're kind of just at a loss, really. We're like, man, that got intense really fast. So I sat on it for a little bit, and Kyle was losing it. Like, he was terrified as to what could be going on.
Yeah, I mean, I run, the way my mind works is I run to the worst possible scenario. That's just how I am. It's almost like, basically just hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. That's what I do.
I missed something. Before the episode ended, Bob got a call from the number.
Oh, yeah.
And it left a recording that we managed to also record.
And this is what you got. Say what?
I was going to say, this phone call was from that whatever Industries?
Yeah, the Egress Industries number to Bob's phone.
How do you spell that, by the way, Egress?
Egress.
Okay, thank you.
This is probably what you got emailed about.
3, 8, 7, 6, 4, 1, 8. The ordinary man looking at a mountain is like an illiterate person confronted with a Greek manuscript. Holosky 9, 3, 8, 7, 6, 4, 1, 8. The ordinary man looking at a mountain is like an illiterate person confronted with a Greek manuscript.
All right. So
guess where that's from?
Hold on a second. So that last part, that was that just
that was just me cutting off the YouTube video.
I got you.
Yeah.
So incredibly creepy. Where was that from?
I'm pretty sure that was a Crowley quote.
Jeez.
Wasn't it the actual?
Yeah,
that was a Crowley quote.
All right. So we got 2 Crowley quotes, and in that recording, now that recording was sent to Bob.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was before you guys were done recording.
Yes.
And that recording had you guys mentioned now in it.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And the quote was something like, a man looking at a mountain is like an illiterate person trying to read Greek manuscript or something like that.
Yeah.
did you guys look into that idea and what that could possibly mean? Why would they what's the reference to the mountain? Why would that even be brought up?
The only thing I can think of is that like we're delving into something that we have no idea about. Like we're in over our heads is basically what I perceived as they were trying to convey.
And as it's going on, I refused to speak at that point. So I just started writing stuff down and showing it to Steve. I was almost convinced that they were mocking our intelligence. You can't even comprehend. Like Steve just said, you just can't comprehend as to what's really going on.
Wow. Okay, so that happens. What was your reactions in those moments, both of you guys?
I was terrified. I didn't know what was going on, and I'm very picky about my personal space. And at that point, I felt like somebody was crudely invading my space, and I was not happy about it. And at the same time, I worried about the safety of everybody around me because I care about everybody. And this was just a blindside. You know, we didn't understand why this was happening to us because we didn't really ultra dig into this company, and we didn't do much to provoke it, you know. And me and Steve talked, and I just flat out told him, I'm like, dude, I don't know if I'm comfortable airing this episode. And we normally air on Mondays, and it didn't end up coming out till Tuesday or Wednesday. And when Monday hit, I texted Steve, and I'm like, all right, let's go over what we know. What do we know? What are the facts? And we started breaking it down, and he kind of convinced me to post it. And like, you'll figure out later on in the story, but if you choose to post this episode, they're going to know who you are.
Why'd you have to tell me that? Why'd you freaking tell me that?
Huh?
Why'd you tell me that? I mean,
because you told me to tell you.
All right. So pause.
Not that it's a bad thing.
No, it's not a good thing.
No, trust me. The story turns in a direction that we really don't understand,
which I don't like. So, okay. I wanted to ask you this. You guys, Steve, you text with the burner phone that number. You find out about Bob. You guys connect. How? So a big mystery in this is, well, one, you both have something in common. You guys have something in common. You both text that number, right? You both called that number.
Yeah.
From that initial connection, whoever's on the other end of that did digging on you and who you are. Now, I assume that Bob probably didn't use a burner phone.
No.
Correct.
So they're able to track who Bob is from that number, and somehow, however they're doing it as far as real time tracking Bob and who he's talking to, then circle back around to you, who you did connect to, but because you use a burner phone, I'm assuming your name wasn't on it. And so there's no real connection there to be made until you guys connect with Bob, who Bob didn't freaking get a burner phone. I mean,
right.
Does anybody ever pay attention to NBA Twitter? You always need a burner. Like,
that was my first go-to. I'm like, before I call any of these damn numbers, I'm buying a burner phone.
Well, and then like, I admire your thought process here, Tony, because it's the same one we had, but what you're not seeing is that you're on this roller coaster here. And while we're on this roller coaster, there's about 5 more going on side by side with us that we're not seeing running yet.
Oh, man.
So, and I say that we get freaked out. And if you're not ready to go this far yet, Steve, cut me off. But we have this happen to us. We post the episode. Our Discord catches on fire with people coming out of the woodworks with crazy, insane handles. They're not using their names. They're not using any real identification. We're going to help you figure this out. We want to know what's going on. And so we're like, awesome. We have private investigators coming out of the woodwork trying to help us.
Really?
Tons of people come out of the woodwork.
Do you think that they're legit?
We don't know what to think at this point, honestly.
Okay.
So we do the Discord. We're trying to figure stuff out. And
well, like I said, I'm way more reactionary than Kyle. So I'm sitting here thinking about everything that's went down. And I'm like, all right, so we're doing the episode, and they're clearly trying to intimidate us. I'm feeling. I'm like, if they're that good, why in the hell didn't they just text our phone or text the burner phone or text Kyle's phone? I'm like, they're only talking to us through Bob.
yes.
I'm like, this is a red flag to me.
Yes.
This is shady. So I'm like, whatever. I'll just text Egress and see if they know who Bob is.
Load roller coaster number 2.
Okay.
So I just sent it. I'm like, do you... Actually, I didn't even mention Bob's name the first time. I just asked him if they had an affiliation with the works of Aleister Crowley. I asked him if the coordinates meant anything to them. And the number that was in the recording that we played for you that mentioned our name, I asked him if that number had anything to do with that. They responded to my text message. They said, Egress Industries has not yet had a representative join you for your broadcast, nor communicate to anyone during your broadcast. It was not us joining you at your table, but instead a charlatan and an airsats that does not represent nor speak for Egress. Keep your eyes open and your ears clear.
All right, pause. All right. We might have established this already, and I just bandwidth. I mentioned that earlier. What do we know about Egress Industries?
Nothing.
There's nothing online?
No.
We looked and we looked.
Okay,
and we looked.
So the fact that there's nothing online means that they're not a legit industry. Like they're not this weapons manufacturer that, you could drive up to and check through security.
Correct.
So the way they said that, I take it as they know more than what they're leading on. They know something. There's something going on that they're withholding information, or they're maybe I don't know, but it sounds off to me. Sounds off.
Oh, for sure.
Egress. Jesus, stupid name.
Way to make him mad, Tony.
There it is, Tony. You made the list.
Well, I can edit that out if I want to, Sue.
Touche.
So I go on and I'm like, all right, I appreciate the transparency. We don't intend to spread any false information about you guys. We don't really even have anything to accomplish. We just wanted to make an episode and share it. And they're like, and I offered, I'm like, if what we put out with Bob is false, we'll pull the episode. It doesn't matter to us. We're not trying to ruffle anybody's feathers. We're just trying to make a podcast and have a good time. So they respond, we appreciate your honorable willingness to reprimand yourself. Egress Industries admires your broadcast and will remember Holosky when the selection process begins. We would request that if you were to take action rather than destroy something false, create something truthful. So there's a selection process, Tony.
You wanted the weird, Tony.
I'm freaking out right now, guys. I'm freaking out right now. Like, this is the most unprofessional podcast I think I'm ever going to put out because it's not crisp. This is... Can you read that one more time, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure. We appreciate your honorable willingness to reprimand yourselves. Egress Industries admires your broadcast and will remember Holosky when the selection process begins. We would request that if you were to take action, rather than destroy something false, create something truthful.
Did you pick up the name they used in that?
Holosky?
Yeah. Well, this is from the burner phone.
Which is from the burner. That is supposed to not let them know that we're Holosky.
And they said, in the first message, they said, we have not yet had a representative sit in on one of your broadcasts. So that doesn't necessarily mean that they don't intend to do that.
Do you think they mean sit in as in like sit in and talk with you, or sit in as in like they're monitoring, like you hear a beep and somebody's listening in?
That's a good point. I didn't
think about that second part, but now I got it.
I mean, that's possible. So basically what they were saying to us is that and I'm not trying to slang any mud here, but they're claiming the interview that we had was not by whatever was going on in that interview with Bob was not them. Period. The end.
Okay, so then we have two shady characters going on. If that's true.
Yeah.
When you were texting, Steve, you didn't mention Bob at all.
No. In that first initial correspondence with them, I didn't mention Bob. I just mentioned the coordinates, mentioned Crowley, and I mentioned the number that was sent through on that voice recording.
Okay,
Bob
so
got.
the things that you did mention right there, the coordinates number that Bob got. If they know they sent those numbers to Bob and now you're using them, maybe that's how they knew who you were.
Or they listened to us.
They listened to the episode.
Yeah, that too.
Because so you got to understand, like, we're freaked out at this point, but at the same time, when we get calmed down, we do the same thing. Let's run over the facts. What do we know? And so we start breaking it down, start running through all types of scenarios, and Steve starts to theorize that this could be an ARG. And I didn't know what an ARG was. I had no idea. He would be the expert in that field.
Well, an ARG is an alternative reality game. It's where people set up all this stuff and people play along and solve clues, and a bunch of ARG boxes are ticked from this. You got a random flyer in the middle of nowhere with a number you call, and you leave this message and they contact you back, and now there's a selection process. So I'm like, man, that's pretty ARG-ish, right?
And so Steve has that theory. I'm on the opposite side of the fence. Like I told you in the first correspondence we had, he's on this side. I still think that there's something nefarious going on. I don't know what yet, but I'm a little more cautious to test the waters, so to speak. But Steve is driven, and he becomes consumed with it and just starts pushing and pushing.
That's
and
what
pushing.
they want, Steve. They're casting their freaking spells on you, bro.
Man, I get, like, it consumed me for a while. Like, I have to know what Egress Industries is. I am just, that's where I'm at.
All right. So, I mean, if it is ARG, then how would they have the ability to do some of the things they did, though? I mean,
exactly.
It's
now thinking back on it,
what your experiences are something that, listen, I mean, really, there's very few possibilities here as to what's going on. We're either talking about a paranormal, supernatural type of event going on where, because they're quoting Aleister Crowley, that maybe they're, what's the phrase I'm looking for, when they remote view you.
Yeah, okay, we thought about that.
Or there's a governmental aspect here where there's a PSYOP going on that's starting on Reddit, and there's some kind of higher ups playing games here with the citizenry. Outside of those two options, I'm really having a hard time thinking of anything other than maybe some Joe Schmo that's a freaking genius in his mom's basement playing games because he is a trust fund kid. Like
that crossed our mind too.
I'm trying to think of something that makes me sleep good tonight, and I'm not really connecting dots here.
Right.
All right, carry on.
Another weird thing about Egress is they have very specific verbiage, and their texting style is very specific. They respond at midnight on the hour. You get like one response a night, and it's midnight on the hour.
Responses to you, or do you get messages without engaging?
Responses to us. Everything we've got has been us initiating the conversation after that very, very first one when we made the call, when we got the almost like automated response, like, thank you for contacting Egress Industries.
So the responses are at night, midnight on the hour. And so like if you shoot a text message over right now, you're not going to get a response till midnight tonight or midnight tomorrow night. How does that work?
It depends. Sometimes if it's early enough, it almost seems like they get your messages, they respond to them, and they schedule them to drop at midnight.
That's where I was going. Like, because if it's somebody on a keyboard somewhere, they can schedule the text to go out at a certain time. And if they're doing this with multiple people, then it would make sense that they're getting these text messages back. And so they're crafting their responses to be scheduled at a certain time for creep factor or for some kind of, you know, I don't know, Aleister Crowley factor. I don't, you know, like, so that does seem like it's a scheduled text message automated kind of thing, which, you know, my company uses when it's a weekend and somebody's on call. They'll schedule a text message to come to your phone at 6 o'clock in the morning on a Monday morning to let you know when to start. And so that's what that sounds like to me. But who freaking knows? Keep going, guys.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I'm like, their schedule needs to drop on the hour. Because I mean, if you posted that on Reddit and it took off, you're going to have multiple people calling, multiple people texting. It's probably spread more than we think it has. It's kind of where I'm at with it.
For sure.
So after that last message,
pause for a second. Do you think, now you know more about this than I do. You've looked into it more. Do you think you guys, being podcasters doing this, are probably one of the more public people doing what you're doing? Do you think, so there could be, let's say 1,000 people that have done this, but you know, most of them are goofballs that just have fun on the side or whatever. They don't really have an audience. You're probably the ones that have an audience and maybe would be targeted on purpose because of that for publicity reasons.
Yeah, to spread whatever Egress Industries is. That's kind of what I thought about it. We have had people reach out that have contacted and had different correspondences with Egress to kind of compare notes and see if we can put anything together, but nothing really substantial has come. So like I said, I'm constantly texting. I'm trying to get them to respond. So I send a message back after the last one that I got, and I'm just asking if there's any information they can give us to help lead us toward the truth. They respond with, at this time, we are prohibited to providing certain information as it may interfere with the selection process as well as potentially endangering Egress Industries. We ask you to transmit your current perception regarding the fraudulent theatrical performance of Bob, last name, as of your last broadcast. We have no qualms with theories, but with purposeful deceit. Failure to fulfill our wishes will lead to respectful understanding felt by Egress Industries.
Okay. And this really doesn't have much to do with what you just said, other than the fact that you brought it up again, the selection process. What do you think that is? Now, you've had time to think about it. When I hear selection process, I think two things. One, Egress Industries is looking for specific types of people that they're planning on selecting in the future for whatever project they're doing or whatever psyop's going on. Or is Egress Industry a embedded, deep-rooted type of thing where they're going to be selecting from the masses, and because you text that, they're weighing whether they're going to select you to maybe be protected from what's coming?
Ooh, wow. I didn't think about that.
See, we've been more leaning on the first one.
Yeah.
We didn't even theorize the second one, but
I prefer the first one, to be honest with you. I mean,
the irony of it is, like, for the second question you just proposed, in a way, that question kind of gets answered in a way later on in the story, but there is a weird correlation there. It's okay. Weird.
And it's almost like they want us to call out Bob for what he's done.
See, and we don't, we're not here to throw mud at him or anything like that, because at the same time, we don't know if somebody's messing with him.
Yeah, leading him on a wild goose chase from the opposite side, you know?
Right. So can you read what you just read again? Because I kind of got sidetracked there with my brain.
Yeah, absolutely. At this time, we are prohibited to providing certain information as it may interfere with the selection process as well as potentially endanger Egress Industries. We ask you to transmit your current perception regarding the fraudulent theatrical performance of Bob as of your last broadcast. We have no qualms with theories, but purposeful deceit. Failure to fulfill our wishes will lead to a respectful understanding felt by Egress Industries.
Okay, so the first part there, read that again. Like the first couple of sentences, you said something there that kind of got my ears going. I'll tell you when to stop.
At this time, we are prohibited to providing certain information as it may interfere with the selection process as well as potentially endangering Egress Industries. We ask you to transmit your current perception regarding the fraudulent.
Transmit what?
Your current perception regarding.
We ask that you transmit your current perception.
Yeah, they want us to talk about it.
Yeah, they want us. They want us to put an episode out about what we think Bob is up to.
And the previous sentence was what? What was that again?
It was
something about endangering.
Yeah. At this time, we are prohibited to providing certain information as it may interfere with the selection process as well as potentially endangering Egress Industries.
So there's an idea that they want out there about Egress Industries, and if the wrong idea is out there, it could hurt what they're trying to do. And whatever your thought process is in that moment is what they want people to think about, and they want you to transmit that. That's what they're saying, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just trying to wrap my brain around it. It's a Friday night, guys. I just worked all day. I'm trying to keep up here.
Yeah. It gets wild. About this time, things take another turn. I'm at work and Kyle sends me a text message that him and one of his coworkers have started receiving messages from another number.
Hold on a second. Okay. All right. Before we go any further, Kyle, you have never texted with your phone.
No.
And I'm assuming your coworker hasn't either.
Oh, no.
Does your coworker
not even close?
Did your coworker have any idea what you were doing?
Yes. Because he started getting them first.
And I'm assuming these messages are coming through text.
Yes.
Okay.
So he started getting them first, and then he sent them to me. And the first thing that he got was, be careful what you speak of to Mr. Kyle and Mr. Steve. They are being monitored.
Clearly.
And so he's like, okay. But he's kind of a wise guy, so to speak. So he likes to run his mouth. He started mouthing off, just kind of trolling them because he didn't believe what they were saying. And it kind of turns more malicious toward the end where they're like, you can't even comprehend what's going on. And they mentioned something about his flyover town, which he does live in a small town. So he sends them to me and he's like, dude, what the heck? And then not a couple of days after that, I start getting text messages.
How'd you feel in that moment getting a text message from your coworker saying, dude, what the heck? I mean, I would have felt awful.
I did.
Because it's like, it's not even in your control. Other than the fact that you opened your mouth and said something to somebody.
Yeah.
And that means that it means that they probably have the ability to listen through your phone. Because
maybe.
How else could they have known that you're talking to your coworker about that?
Well, he does listen to the show. And so there's two sides of this that are kind of weird. One, couple days before he got messages, me and him were very briefly texted about the episode where things got crazy on us. And we started throwing around the Aleister Crowley stuff very briefly. Okay. A couple of days later, we start receiving messages. But at the same time, he makes a post on our Facebook page in regards to going. He's like, because he's always wanting to go with us. He's like, dude, if you guys go to Kentucky, I'll roll with you. And so there's another connection.
Yeah, I had posted the coordinates. I'm like, should we go to Somerset? Just to stir up some talk. And this guy was like, yeah, I'm down. Let's roll.
Yeah. Listen, fellas, I mentioned on this past week's episode, The Predator, that I have some business to take. What was that laugh about?
Just keep going. Okay. I think I know where this is going.
I had some business to take care of. I didn't know if I said on the show, but the business I need to take care of is in Kentucky.
Yeah.
And where's Somerset? in Kentucky? What geographical area is it? East, west, north, south?
Man, I don't even know. I'll Google it.
I know it's not far from Hellier.
Oh shoot.
Yeah.
I have freaking A.
Oh, see, I thought you were getting ready to be like, all right, boys, let's go to Kentucky. And I'm like, why does everybody want to go to Kentucky except me?
Well,
so you're going down there and you're going to go into caves?
No.
Okay,
no,
good.
I listen. No, Hellier, they do their thing over there, and I listen. I love the show, and they're awesome people. I would love to have them on the show to talk, but that's their gig. I would never intrude on that.
Right.
I have my own very private thing I need to take care of. That I'll tell you guys about it when we're done recording, but it's very touchy. It's on the southeastern side of the state, if I remember correctly, is where the Hellier area is.
It's looking like Somerset is kind of dead center. You're
Center?
probably safe.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like it's directly south of Lexington.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Somerset, pretty much dead center of the state. But if I remember correctly, Hellier is southeast, isn't it?
Yeah, I do believe so.
Okay. Now, anybody who's listening to this right now, we're mentioning Hellier. If you have no idea what we're talking about, just YouTube it. It started out as a small investigation that turned into 2 seasons, and it is just mind-bending.
Yeah.
Like this episode is right now. Guys, before we go any further, I just want you to understand how I'm feeling right now. I feel like I'm being pulled into something that I had no idea what I was going to get pulled into when I got excited about having you guys on to talk about the crazy things on your freaking podcast. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, let's talk about this crazy stuff that's going on in their podcast and their lives out in Illinois, way away from me. And with the context now, I'm like, there's not even a thought in my mind to stop this now, because the moment that you and I connected, I was brought into it. So,
right.
I mean, I hope not, but that's how I feel in the moment right now.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather have more allies in the fight than not.
Well, I don't want to be in a fight. Listen. Listen.
I mean, I'm just saying.
I'm a busy
if you got
guy.
drug in, I mean,
I'm a busy guy, and I'm not really interested in fighting anything right now.
Now, trust me when I say that near the end of this, I think you'll feel a little bit different, because I definitely do about it. You know, because this whole time when everything's going on, I'm on edge.
Oh,
24/7.
100%.
24/7.
Gun on my hip. Family doesn't leave the house unless I'm with them.
Bro.
100% daddy bear in town, ready to rock.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what happened too.
Yeah. No, and that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Because when somebody's playing games like this and intruding in your life, getting your phone number, texting you, texting coworkers, it's only a matter of time until they start texting your children's names. I'm ready to freaking rock at that point. And that's why I'm so big on home security.
Oh, yeah.
I talk about it on the show all the time. It's because I can't be home every single moment of my life with my family to make sure that they're good and protected. And that's why I always promote Simply Safe. We are a partner with them. And I think it's a great investment for people to actually be involved with having their home secure through home security. And Simply Safe is one of those companies that you can actually install everything yourself. You don't have to have somebody come in, a specialist, and do it, and then have them come do checkups. And if there's something wrong with it, they got to come out and do their thing. And it costs tons of money. Simply Safe, all you got to do is go ahead and plug it in yourself. It takes like 30 minutes. It took me an hour because I'm a little slow. And then you're good to go. Your home is secure. They have everything that you could possibly want to. I mean, we're talking about sensors in the house, alarm systems that you set for when you go to sleep, cameras, and cameras. I have a trust issue, and I always wonder if somebody's gonna be able to hack the cameras and stuff. So cameras are always something that I worry about, but my wife is actually getting me on the whole camera train, because she actually wants the cameras in the house because I'm always gone driving truck and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I think cameras are coming into the equation too, but they do have cameras, and a lot of people use cameras. But listen, guys, if you want to keep your home simply safe and secure, go to Simply Safe because Simply Safe is that company that's going to help you do it. Simply Safe has an arsenal of sensors and cameras that protect every inch of the home. And right now, my listeners get a free home security camera when you purchase a Simply Safe system at simplysafe.com/confessionals. You'll also get 60 days risk-free, so there's nothing to lose. Visit simplysafe.com/confessionals for your free security camera. That's simplysafe.com/confessionals. I hope you guys are on board with the idea of home security because with what you're dealing with and stuff, you got to be, in my mind.
Dude, you and me are the same page. Same page.
Carry on.
So we're at where you're getting messages now.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting messages. Oh, speaking of which, I'll go ahead and read you my messages because I didn't take it very serious, right? So the first one I get is be careful what you speak of or speak about Mr. Kyle. Didn't respond. I'm like, I'm not going to waste my time because they obviously want me to respond. So I'm just going to troll them and not respond. A couple of days later, the 28th of December, I get another one and it just says magic ... And I'm like,
How do they
okay.
spell magic?
Not the occult way.
Okay.
So I don't know if you can see this. I'm not really going to say it, but that's what I sent back.
Yeah. It's a meme, guys. It's a
yes.
meme.
I trolled them. Okay. I figured, whatever.
You might as well send the frog face, the giggity, giggity, giggity.
Yes. So they responded back to it. Mr. Bob is not being forthcoming with you. Beware of falsehoods within your circle. And I replied, you don't say. We've already been given that bit of information, but thanks anyways. And then they respond, consider yourself warned. And at this point, I'm really confused. I'm like, it appears you need to make up your mind on what stance you're taking here. Are you warning me, threatening me, or helping me? Which begs the question, why me and not my counterpart? Their response, this is where it drastically changed. You're an angry, foul-mouthed, borderline on illiterate little boy. No part of this has been a threat, but a mere warning. Others are dealing with your quote-unquote counterpart. I am simply giving you information, the aforementioned, and others in your circle, John for one, have ulterior motives.
Who's John?
He would be my coworker.
Okay. So John has ulterior motives.
I don't see how he would.
But that's what they're saying.
Yes.
So there's manipulation going on with this whole thing.
Yeah, they're trying.
And so they called you an angry, foul-mouthed little boy.
Bordering on illiterate.
Bordering on... Can you read?
Somewhat.
Okay, well, maybe they're right. So, angry, foul-mouthed. Well, you and I, we were talking beforehand. You guys said that you really don't hide your language on the show. So
it gets colorful.
Yeah, so they can listen to the show, hear that. And if it gets colorful, then I'm sure you can show your emotional side but that's the thing that people have to understand with podcasting is you draw an image and a picture of the person that is hosting a show that is only an hour snippet of who they are in life. And so people tend to draw images and pictures of how they think somebody is that sometimes is accurate because you hear an hour of their life, but it's not the whole picture. And so what they're drawing a picture of is what they hear of you on the show. Maybe not necessarily all of you. And I'm not trying to come to your defense like, well, he's not an angry, foul-mouthed little boy, guys. He can read. He can read. I'm not trying. I'm just saying like that's just a factual matter of the situation where if you're listening to a podcaster, you draw images of how you believe that they are character-wise, and you draw assumptions from that may or may not be true.
Right.
And so, all right, let's carry on.
So
it's crazy.
I'm confused at this point as to what's going on. That one kind of shocked me because it took a little bit more of a in-your-face approach. And I don't consider myself a very angry person. I like to live a happy life. I like simple things, happy life, But I started to notice some things. And I can't prove this because nobody has come forward and I don't think they will. But I also noticed that all the text messages that I got revolved around my work schedule. So I got the first one 4 minutes before my lunch break. And I got one of the other ones 3 minutes before end of shift. And then I also noticed that they took the same Christmas break that we did. So it is a possibility.
How do you define what are you talking about? Egress took the same Christmas break as you, meaning that like when you're not working, they weren't texting?
Yes. But this number that's been texting me is not Egress. It's a completely new number, which I did forget to mention.
Okay. But are you operating the assumption that it's not Egress then? That it's some other character in the story?
Yeah. And we almost have proof of that.
They didn't even mention Egress in all of their ramblings. They mentioned one of the other flyers that we had talked about.
Oh, okay. So now we're saying that possibly these flyers are connected?
We don't know.
Or is it all these flyers doing similar things, but they're different organizations doing it at the same time?
That's kind of what I think.
What? How? Like that's Kyle, that's a reach, man. Like, dude. I mean, listen, it's your story. You guys know where this is going and stuff. But on my receiving end, it's hard for me to imagine that all these flyers are different organizations doing similar things. If on my end, I'm thinking, if I'm doing this, let's put a flyer over here, different organizations, different things. And as people come in, we mess with people. We mind F them, you know?
Right.
And what's trippy is that they knew your work schedule to the point that they're texting you 4 minutes before lunch break.
Yeah.
3 minutes before the end of shift. So both those are end of shifts.
Yeah.
And they take time off from texting you when you're not working.
Yeah. Cause I got a text basically the day before Christmas. We got Christmas Day off and then the weekend. And then that Monday when I came back to work is when I got another text message.
Okay.
But at this point, I'm not ruling out the possibility that it isn't somebody within my circle, like coworkers, messing with me, because we do know quite a few people and we've been giving these people numbers. Shoot them up for us. Let's see what we can find out on them. And I think I'm going to say it right. They're VoIP numbers or
VoID, I think.
Yeah. They're
like a Google number.
Yeah. So it's basically all online stuff, but we had somebody to dig into the second number that's texted my personal phone. And it is a possibility that it's linked to an intelligence agency.
Oh, freaking A. All right. Well, okay. All right.
But I will say this, that the same guy said, odds are that somebody is using a spoof app and just picked the wrong number to spoof text you from. He's like, that's what I think. I do not think it is this agency doing this. And if you think about it, Tony, do you think an intelligence agency would come at me like that? I don't.
Well, I know this isn't Rage Against Dystopia. This is the Confessionals, but I think that how do I say this? So the whole Q stuff that's been going on for years now, I don't think it's what everybody thought it was. I think it was a psyop. I've said several times publicly that I thought it was an AI bot. Not necessarily that I believed it, but it was my way of jabbing it and saying, I don't even think it's human. And it would piss everybody off when I would say that. Now, what I think the way things are playing out with the Q stuff, especially when I heard them say, like, and I didn't follow Q. What I did was I listened to people who followed Q.
Right.
I got all excited about certain Q drops and things like that, and I'd listen to what they have to say because then it gives me my outside perspective. But one of the things I saw people getting really excited about was when the Q drop happened and it said, wait until you find out who's been talking to you. And everybody was just like, oh, it's Trump, it's General Flynn, it's the military. Oh, we're so excited. And I'm thinking, that's who you already think it is. they wouldn't say that if that's who it was.
I mean, that's a good point.
So if they're saying to you, wait until you find out who it is, it's not who you're thinking it is. And so that was a very big alarm bell in my head. And now we're looking at things here in 2021. We're 3-4 weeks into a new presidency, and we still hear them talking about the Q stuff, the Q followers. They did this, they think this, the Q people. Nobody is looking into who is Q. Now, you could say before, when Trump was the president, oh, well, Trump's not going to look into it because he is enjoying the fact that all these people are all excited for him. But now that he's not president and we have a whole new regime in there, why are they not investigating who Q is, who is leading these quote unquote terrorist organizations all over the world? Why are they not looking into it? And my thought, this is a thought that I just had today, I was thinking about this stuff. I think the wait until you find out who's been talking to you is because it was a psyop, and it was a psyop by the opposition to get people all riled up in the wrong direction.
Exactly what I told
It's
Kyle.
possible. It's 100% possible. And maybe I just, in regards to the number text to me, I just don't feel like it's a very, I feel like if you're an intelligence agency and you're watching me, you're not gonna just straight out yourself the first couple weeks. That's my personal opinion.
Didn't out themselves. You guys looked into it, right?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, and very well. I mean, whoever you were talking to that said about spoof app, that's news to me. I never even heard such a thing, but it sounds like I could use it for pranking, which I'm going to look into.
You definitely can.
It'd be so much fun.
And they're hard to trace, apparently.
Lovely. This is going to be so much fun. Jack's going to hate me. But so it very well could be that, but that's why I just shared what I shared, because
right.
I do think that it's a possibility that if it's a psyop that it benefits their agenda of whatever it could be. What we're dealing with right now maybe the beginning stages of some kind of psyop that we're going into now. We just, and dang it, just carry on. I don't want to get too deep off track here.
Right on. So I'll let Steve pick back up with the rest of the story here.
So one of the messages that Kyle's coworker got regarded another flyer, right? One of the other ones that we talked about, but we didn't even delve into it because nothing came of it. And he just got specifically the Willamette County, Oregon flyers are part of something far bigger and not to be ridiculed or messed with. So we haven't even dove down that road yet. We don't even know where that goes because we're so engrossed with Egress right now. We didn't even mess with Willamette.
No, not at all.
Can you read that again just one more time? What would they say?
Specifically, the Willamette County, Oregon flyers are part of something far bigger and not to be ridiculed or messed with.
Okay, so and you didn't even look into that, but I'm seeing it now. What is this? What is Willamette County flyers?
That was just another dream survey that came out. That was one of the first ones that I read.
These were on Reddit though. Are they actual flyers being posted around?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's pictures of them.
People have found the physical flyers and then posted the pictures to Reddit.
Okay. I just assumed these were digital flyers only.
No, they're physical flyers.
Are they all over the place, or is it just specific
people
areas?
Have found them in Oregon, in Utah, in Austin. And about this time, Bob contacts me with a message. He goes, are you effing with me? And I'm like, no. What are you talking about? And he shows me a Facebook page of his local county little news Facebook, and someone from his town posted a picture of a flyer that has been posted in his town. The exact Egress Industries flyer, asking about the mirrors and everything. Now being posted up in the town where he lives, and people in his town are starting to freak out about it. They're like, is this a sex trafficking, ring? What? They're getting ready to go to the police and everything. And it's like a big deal now.
Did anybody go to the police? I mean, these are, so that's because that's the thing. I mean, what I was thinking, these were digital flyers, but if they're physical flyers being posted in town saying these kind of things, do the police ever look into this and try to figure it out? I mean, serve and protect us, guys.
Right. I don't believe they did. I don't know that anybody actually went as far to turn them in. They talked about it, but I don't know if they ever did or not.
And as it was kind of going on, people were starting to tag Bob in the post, and he was kind of trying to put out the fire, is the way I took it. He's like, don't anybody call the number, don't anybody mess with it, just tear the flyers down if you see them. And more people started posting, hey, I've seen another one at this intersection, and I found another one at this intersection. And it was like someone had just painted his town with these flyers.
Right. And Bob's town, we don't need to say what town it is, but you guys obviously know, is this a big town, small town? What are we talking about size-wise, do you think?
I don't think it's very big. I think it's probably,
okay,
I don't know, 10,000, 20,000 people. I don't know specifics.
All right. So one thing to look into is population of these towns. How big are these towns that these flyers are getting posted in? Because listen, I'm in the Philadelphia area. If these flyers get posted in the Philadelphia area, they're going to be on camera posting them.
Right.
That's exactly what I told Bob.
But if it's a small town, maybe it's been a long time since I lived in Hamburg, Pennsylvania, Shoemakersville, Pennsylvania. I mean, you listen to the name of these towns, obviously they're not very big. And so they don't have the cameras at every street corner like a big city would. So
exactly.
But you did say Austin, right? Austin's a big city.
That was where the original Egress flyer was found. A guy was doing some door-to-door insurance sales or something, and he saw it taped to an electrical box it was in a gated community that he was going around trying to do whatever he did for his job, and he found it, and he's like, man, this is kind of weird. So he took a picture of it.
It was taped on the inside of an electrical box or the outside?
The outside, taped to the outside of the box.
And the guy who found it, do we know anything about him?
Not really.
Just that he posted it to Reddit.
Suspicious.
Right.
Yeah,
so
that's what
suspicious.
I thought.
You know, as you can imagine, just from that response right there, is we're still bouncing nefarious organization, or is it some type of game? We don't know what's going on.
Satan himself, who knows?
Huh?
Or Satan himself.
Don't say that.
I'm just saying.
I don't want it to be that option.
Obviously, me neither.
So we're just really confused as to what's going on. We're playing every angle we can think of because we're not genius by any means, but we do like to look outside the box and look at it from as many sides as we can. And that's what I remember telling Steve. I'm like, before we hyper press into this, I want to see as much as the chessboard as I can see so we know what moves to make. Because I don't want to just run head on into the darkness and fall into a punji stick pit. Like, I want to be able to see what's coming. And so Steve's like, well, you know what? I'll just text him.
Like, well, this, like,
text who?
Egress. So I'm, in my mind,
but
the
you
only
already have, right?
Yeah, I'm just going to keep going with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
The only actual information we can pull from Egress that we know to be true is coming from this number. So I text them. I mean, the other number, which we're going to reel back to now, the number that was texting Kyle's number, we looked up the area code and had people look into it, and it's a number from Washington, D.C. It's about 6 blocks from the Capitol building.
Okay. And what date did you look this up?
It was right about the first of the year.
Yeah.
So, okay. First of the year.
Yeah.
Right around the Capitol building. That's when you looked it up, and the number comes from 6 blocks, you said, from the Capitol building?
Yeah, it was about 6 blocks.
Do you know, do you have a precise geographical location? I mean, that sounds pretty precise to me.
Yeah, we have an address, but we don't know if it's actually tied, just like falsely tied to the VoIP number, or if it's the actual address. Because
gotcha.
Our guy, our lone gunman, as we call him, pulled CCTV footage and showed us the building, and the building is under construction for where this.
Oh, who's this lone gunman then?
He's our guy, our email guy. We don't know who he is. He's anonymous.
Yeah, we don't say.
He listens to the show. If we have a question,
okay,
he tries to answer it. If he has an opinion on something, he'll send it our way. If he has a tip on some show we got coming up, he'll send us some information. We don't even know who he is, but he seems to be more of an ally than an enemy, so we just kind of run with it.
Okay. I would encourage you guys to be arm's length from everybody from this point forward. Just, I mean, hug me, but I mean, like straight up. I mean, anybody who you don't know who they are, just take it at face value.
Right.
You know? All right, carry on.
So once Kyle started getting his text messages, it kind of ignited his fear a little bit again, because that's super personal. They got your phone number. So I'm like, whatever, I'm just going to go to Egress again. And I'll ask him. I'm like, we've been getting text messages from different numbers and all of this other stuff. Is this you? And they say direct contact with this number specifically is indubitably Egress Industries. The second most verified connection to Egress would be an identification card. We would suggest not trusting any other sources. The selection progress has begun synchronously with the start of this year. We ask to be notified and informed on all sources claiming to be affiliated with Egress Industries.
Okay. All right. So we're back to the selection process, and it started this year.
With the first of the year is what they're saying.
Man, I'm really getting hung up on the selection process and what that means. Did you happen to ever ask them what that means, the selection process?
Oh, yeah. That was my next text message.
Okay.
I said, we'll pass on any information we find regarding outside sources posing as Egress. How are the selected notified? And all they said is, if you've been selected, you'll know.
Clearly.
So I'm like, okay.
Well, and something I want to break down from the previous text messages. Did you catch what they said? They said basically anything from this phone is Egress. And the only other way you'll know that it's Egress is if you see a badge.
Identification card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that means in-person visits, you're thinking.
Yeah.
Have you noticed anybody unusual around you?
Not me, but my wife did have a strange occurrence. I'm not saying it's connected, but it was right around this time. And she said she was in line at a bread co. And she had just pulled up, had just gotten her order, and she was checking it. And she looked outside the driver's side window. And in the adjacent parking lot, there was an all black SUV. She said the windows, even the front window, was black as night. But she could see a silhouette moving behind the driver's side window. And she looked over at it, like confused, like, what? Like, are they waving at me? And she's like, well, my work does have a car kind of like that. So maybe it's somebody that I know. And she's like, the person rolled down their window, had no idea who it was, but they only rolled it down to about their neck. And she's like, he had no expression on his face. He was looking at me, just blank stare, and doing this, just slightly waving at me. And I'm like, that's creepy.
Yeah, it's creepy. I mean, it could be weirdo, but weirdos usually don't have the money to buy hooked up SUVs like that.
Right.
But right around this time, and the weird factor of all this stuff, it does kind of make sense that they would try to, because they've incorporated other people outside of this story that are in your life, coworkers. It would make sense that they would try to incorporate your wife as well.
Well, that's level. Not a good thing for them to do.
You can talk that game, but if these people are as big as what they could be, it don't matter, bro.
No, I agree. I mean, I know that, but it's just for like the way my thought process is.
I mean, I get it. Like, right? I mean, wife, kids, both to my head before I let some. I mean, you literally have to kill me before you get to them. Right. That might happen very fast, but I will die trying.
Right.
I get it.
You know, I don't even want it to be that road, but the thing is, like, okay, if that you are them and et cetera, like, don't mess with them. Mess with me and Steve. We're the ones that stuck our feet in the water. You do what you got to do with us. Nobody else needs to pay any debt. If there's debt to be paid, it's me and him. Simple.
It's simple for you.
Yeah.
You know, it's simple for you, but there's a whole other agenda being played here, and we don't know what that is.
No, you're right.
Listen, like you gave me this like hope like 20 minutes ago that at the end of this, I won't feel so bad. I'm really hoping you're not lying to me because
I'm not.
No, I know you're not. I'm just saying, like, dude. I mean, I'm thoroughly tripped out. So,
oh, believe me, it's been a roller coaster.
All right, guys, let's go.
Around this time, we start getting. Well, Bob contacts me again. This is where this came from, and he is getting messages from his listeners that Egress, quote unquote, is starting to respond with my full name in their messages. So I'm like, all right, send me a screenshot of one. I want to see what these look like. And it says, we are not affiliated with my name in any way. Have you experienced any strange occurrences that you would like to inform us about? So I'm like, now if these dudes are using my name, that's a whole nother level here. We're gonna have to have a talk. So I text them.
Why is that a whole other level? I mean, wouldn't you assume they know who you are?
Yeah, but it's just something about using my full name. Like it just
like
kind of
first and last. Was it first, middle, and last?
Yeah, first and last.
Okay, so it's just more like what you're saying is it kind of hit you hard. Just the fact that it's no longer first name basis. It's like who knows what else they know about me.
It's beyond the podcast. It's beyond everything.
Well, and on top of that, it was unprovoked. So the way that message is structured is it was almost like somebody called that number, left some type of voicemail, and then that was the first message they got from quote unquote Egress. And they even respond with who TF is that? And then the person in the thing says, disregard that. Have you had any weird occurrences?
So they mention my name and someone asks, who is that? And then they say disregard.
Oh, okay. So this message was sent to some random person?
Yes. Nobody that we know.
Okay. My mind was already like working on Bob. Like Bob got this message. Bob didn't get this message.
One of his listeners did. This is what he told us.
Gotcha. Okay. It makes sense.
So
now.
I text him.
I mean,
I'm
that makes sense now. I mean, now I understand why you're just like, whoa, because I'm thinking Bob got the message and I'm like, well, I mean,
of course Bob knows my name. Yeah.
Right. But now I get it. Okay.
Because it was just some person that we didn't even have any affiliation with. So like I said, I text them and ask, I'm like, they're sending me screenshots of you guys are using my full name. I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers, just trying to figure stuff out. I pose no threats, so don't like come after me, right? So they respond at midnight, per usual, and they say Egress Industries has a vast network of communications and possesses a department of connections. Responding and transmitting messages is a component of what keeps us alive. We believe we have been contacted by followers of your broadcast, yet as of now, Holosky has not been discussed, and we are not wanting to disclose private information, especially information that is not our own. If we are obligated to define our collective thoughts of Holosky, as of now, we would reply that they are an inquisitive ally. We request to view your messages as fabricated happenings. So that kind of eased the tension a little bit.
Yeah, especially how'd they describe you again?
An inquisitive ally.
Okay, so they're looking at you like, as just say that the podcast as an organization that is curiously looking into things that they don't mind to have you looking into.
Yeah, that's what I took it. So I'm like, all right.
Which shows intent. I mean, it shows intent behind all these things. Like what it shows is that you guys are pretty much on the path that they have designed for you to be on. Like you think that you're making decisions to do certain things, and it's almost like every text you send, every person you talk to about this is already pre-designed, and they have been psyoping you and other people in a certain direction. And so it's like they're doing exactly what we want them to do. So they are an inquisitive ally.
Well, it's funny that you
right into it.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because when you messaged me on Instagram, I was shell shocked. My wife even seen it and goes, "Did he really just message you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And you told me that somebody emailed you about it. And my first thing, I even said to Steve, I go, "I wonder who emailed Tony."
I wonder who emailed me now. Did I say email or message me on Instagram?
I thought you said email.
I might have said email. Dang it. I'm going to have to...
because I was curious if somebody put us in your seat on purpose.
Freaking A, man.
And it's just how my mind works. I'm not saying it was.
No,
it could have just very easily been.
Right. Let me look in my email right quick here. Side note, has nothing to do with anything. I use Proton Mail, and it's just not as smooth running as Gmail, but at least I'm censored. I'm not. I have a big tech gap between me and Gmail. Let me type in your name here. Holosky, one word. And,
yes, sir.
Okay, so the only thing I have in my email here is the accepted invitation to do this interview. I can't look in on my phone because I have them turned off, which I might have surprises for myself when I turn them back on.
I don't. No, I haven't got anything yet. So
me either.
Let me look in my Instagram on the internet here on my browser and see if I can pull up Confessionals. Let's see here. I know this is not great broadcasting, listeners. I apologize, but this is an active, ongoing investigation that you're listening to right now.
So, old Sherlock Holmes over there.
Yeah, we're doing the real digs.
Right. That's right.
Oh, freak, man. I don't even know where to begin looking in here. Did I message you personal account or Holosky?
Holosky.
And I messaged you from the Confessionals?
Yeah. I believe so. I can check real fast.
Yeah, if you could check, because I'm not even seeing you in here. How long ago was it? I mean, it was a while ago, right?
In December.
Oh, here we go.
You find it?
I found you. Okay, so... Hey man, I said, hey man, I heard you have some kind of strange voicemail or something. What's happening? Also, just saw the above message from over a year ago. Sorry, I never responded. Again, I'm sorry.
That's good, man. It's good. It happens.
I hardly ever check these things.
Yeah, see,
it's very random.
Go beyond my response. You responded back with someone emailed me about it.
Yeah, I did say that. Emailed me about it. Oh my goodness. Okay, somebody emailed me about it. Man, these are the moments that because I mean, if I'm in Gmail, I just type in a word and everything pops up.
Right.
Holosky. The only thing I have is this invitation. Shoot. Oh, freaking A, shoot. Because I mean, I could very well could have said email and meant messenger.
Right. Yeah.
And maybe it was on Twitter. Maybe it was on Twitter that somebody messaged me.
Maybe. I don't know. Anyways, continue with your story. We'll investigate this as we go. Right on.
I mean, that's pretty much where we're at right now. That was about the last correspondence we'd had with Egress, or with anyone really. Egress kind of went silent. Bob kind of went silent. The DC number went silent. And here we are.
So we were, as I mentioned before, we were running down theories on what it could be. And Steve has kind of been pushing this ARG thing. I've been on the opposite side of the coin. And now that we're nearing where we're at, I had this, we've been talking throughout the course of this. And the only time that it gets malicious or invasive is when we're dealing with quote unquote outside sources. Every time Steve has messaged this company or this, whatever it is, they've been nothing but polite and courteous, and they are very well spoken, and they speak with intent, but they've never said anything malicious to us like the other messages have. And then they've never done anything to try to freak us out either. And then on top of all that, I brought it up to Steve the other day. I'm like, like you had me sold on this ARG thing, but I get to thinking, and they've never really, I mean, minus the first initial phone call and response, they have never reached out to us. We've always reached out to them first, and then they respond.
Kind of plays into what Tony was saying. that we're doing exactly what they want us to do.
It very well could be, and that if we stop talking to them, they stop talking to us. It's done. Like they don't go out of their way to get a hold of us, and they've done nothing to they do kind of speak openly, encryptedly, where it could draw someone in and want to keep going further and further. But like I said, if you drop the ball, they let it roll down the court. They don't pick it up.
So the only time you have an engagement with them is when you first initially.
Yeah, we start the conversation.
Yeah, we have to start it.
Okay, and that's with Egress.
Yes.
But there has been other situations that you've been contacted by other
numbers.
And those numbers engage you.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And Egress repeatedly says we have no part in any other communication than what this number pertains to, or if you see a badge. Other than that, it's not us.
Or if you see a badge.
An identification card.
Yeah, identification.
I mean, what are we going to do? Start wearing Jewish stars around here? I mean, listen, they're talking about a selection process, and then we're talking about identification badges. I'm thinking, selection process for what? Put us in camps? I mean, what are we talking about here, guys? And,
Exactly.
Are we going to start putting little stickers on everybody who's been labeled as something? I mean, yeah, my mind's going a million different places right now.
Oh, sure it is. Just like ours has been the whole time. I mean, it's been confusing trying to break down from the original flyer. Like, what purpose do you have looking at people with these types? Because it does touch into a paranormal field. And the one thing I threw at Steve, and it's just a theory, but what if it's something like the Bigelow Foundation that's looking into strange happenings around, and they're doing it kind of covertly like this because they don't want a ton of muddied water. They don't want a ton of people clout chasing or anything like that coming in with BS stories. They want people with stories. But to what end? Because if it's a new podcast starting up or YouTube or whatever it is, they'd have to get permission from everybody involved, because your first requirement from this phone number is to leave a voicemail of something strange that you've experienced. Like I said, we're on one roller coaster and there's like 5 or 10 side by side with us, and you don't know which one you're actually on.
Right. Yeah. And yeah. And I see what you're saying about the different roller coasters, because it's like you're dealing with Egress or Egress or whatever. And then, do you even know how to really pronounce that, by the way?
I've just been calling it Egress.
That's what I've assumed, because I think it's the same spelling as the actual word, which means to exit.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's another roller coaster.
Selection process for exiting what?
And if Egress doesn't have any affiliation, which they claim with Bob, with the numbers that's texting Bob, with this number that was texting Kyle, why is there all of this other misinformation trying to just muddy the water? You know what I mean? Like, why is that happening? Why is someone, not necessarily Egress, trying to throw the trail off so bad? Like, are they doing it to embellish the story to make their YouTube channel go, get more views, or whatever the hell their end game is? I don't know. It's just, I don't know, man.
But this is where we're at. We, as much as we would love to give an answer to it all, we can't. And judging by the messages that we've gotten, is that this story is literally only starting. But this might be where we get off.
Yeah. Yeah. Or not. I mean, you just don't know.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, because what it could sound, it sounds a little bit like maybe the possibility of, I forget which one of you said something that sparked it in my head, but if there is an organization, let's just say Egress, and they're trying to accomplish something, what if there's another, and Egress, let's just call it a shadow organization, that's what it is. what if there is other shadow organizations that are aware of egress, their intents, and they're trying to combat whatever they're trying to do by sowing disinformation or other paths of thinking into the minds of the targets of egress? And is egress good or bad? And that might answer the other question of these other organizations, or maybe they're all bad and they all have their own agendas. This is trippy. This is trippy.
Absolutely. Because you could literally run a million scenarios, because you could take it as the collective consciousness. Maybe they're tapping into that with all the crazy stuff that's going on in the world. Because there's that theory that the more people, mass groups of people think about something, the more probability that it starts to actually manifest itself. So maybe that's something to do with that.
Yeah.
There's so much, like, you get on this roller coaster expecting to chase down an answer, and all you get is more questions. Because at the end of all this, with all the correspondence we've had with Egress over the months, everything, Steve tries texting him one last time. What is Egress Industries? And they give him the exact same response they did in the very beginning of our correspondence.
Like a copy paste response.
Yes.
Yep, exactly. That was the last thing that we got from them.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
It's been a lot of stressful months.
I can imagine. When did this all start?
I found the Reddit posts and the flyers in September, and we did the show on it. Nothing really came of it until
for a couple of months.
Yeah, December, and then all hell broke loose.
Interesting. Kyle, if I were you, I'd be very angry at Steve for starting this.
We've had this conversation.
Yeah, but my guess is my guess as far as them, like, because we found it pretty interesting whenever Steve first reached out about the numbers and coordinates from when that was messaged to Bob, and Steve texted him about it, and he asked, basically, do you know anything about this? And they started bringing up our broadcast. I'm like, well, that means that they're most likely listening to our podcast, even though they're calling it a broadcast, which is a very interesting choice of words. But nevertheless, maybe they have it set up just like Steve has had set up, where when things get posted online with our name, it gives us an alert. So maybe that's how they're keeping track of people talking about them. Outside the obvious that maybe they're tapping people, but nevertheless, this could be an avenue that they're doing.
All right. So what you're saying is basically if something is put online about them, they have something to track that being mentioned.
Yeah, you can get like a Google notification.
Right.
If somebody Googles you.
Yeah, I have that for my name in the show so that when I know somebody's talking trash about me, I see it.
Same.
Yeah, and that's something that is worth thinking about as a very real possibility. In fact, probably about, 30 minutes into this conversation, I started thinking about how I'm going to actually label this.
I don't blame you.
Because this is one, little trippy for me, but also it'd be a good, I'm thinking experiment, because I was thinking about that with what you guys were saying. And if I don't put your names or the podcast name in the title or in the description, and I just give a general, description, let's see what happens. Oh, by the way, you said if you decided, bro, this thing's getting aired. One thing that I listen, I'm like a freaking kid in the candy shop with this kind of stuff. I could know it's going to freaking kill me. I can't help myself.
That's exactly.
Welcome to my world. I have to have answers, man.
When we're done with this broadcast, and I told you I was going to tell you what my business is in tech. Like, when you find out what my business is in Kentucky, you're going to be like, yo, freak, you weren't kidding, man. So I ain't playing games. And my wife, she's like, I love you, but you're crazy. I know, but awesome. You have to be a few screws up top need to be a little loose to do what we do. Right. So
that it does.
Guys, this is trippy. I wrote down at some point, gang stalking What are we thoughts? What are our thoughts on this?
I didn't think about that either.
Could there be an organized gang stalking psyop going on, starting out on like between Reddit and posting these things, getting people to engage them, and then from there they track those people and do a gang stalking operation?
It's possible. I wouldn't throw that. I wouldn't rule it out.
I mean,
I don't know.
Because I flash back to the only character we've seen in this story, which is your wife seeing that guy in the vehicle. And I know you said, I don't know if this is related, but it is strange.
Yeah.
If you disregard everything you've heard the last hour and a half, and Kyle came on and just said that story, that's weird.
It is weird. Absolutely. 100%.
It's enough for the hairs on the back of a husband's neck to stand up and go down to Breadco and kind of sit there for a while.
Right.
You're right.
Yeah.
And so the fact that that strange event happened in the middle of all this, it's random, or could it be just a random coincidence? I mean, how often, of all the people that listen to my show right now, and you guys and me, how often has something like that happened in our lives?
Exactly.
I mean, that's rare. I mean, granted, I'm not the friendliest looking kind of person. People tend to be a little intimidated by me, especially when I'm all geared up for work stuff. Like I hear it all the time. So I don't expect somebody to do such a thing to me. But my wife, she's never had something like that happen to her. And I would fair to guess that most people have not had something like that happen to them. You know?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, a little side story, lighten the mood. When I was younger, we were just married. I was probably about 22. And we were in a Turkey Hill. And she was on one side of the Turkey Hill. I was on the other. And there was these two guys in the store. And she's in the aisle looking for something. This one guy comes up behind her and told her, he goes, "Move, bitch."
Uh-oh.
And Lindsay comes walking over to me and her face is just melted. I'm like, "What's wrong?" She's like, "Nothing." I'm like, "What's wrong?" And she tells me, and I walk around the Turkey Hill and I'm like, "Is it this guy? No." "Is it this guy?" "No." I walk up to the cash register with two guys at the cash register and said, "Are these guys?" And she looked at me and she looked at them and she goes, "No." We get in the car. She's like, "That was him." I'm like, "Oh, you deprived me from defending your honor."
Right. Yeah,
I was ready to rock. You know, like,
Crisis averted.
yeah. I mean, seriously. Yes. Big crisis averted. My wife, very wise woman. So, but, yeah, I mean, things like that typically don't happen to people. So the fact that that happened in the middle of that guy, whoever that was, possibly, I mean, I would say that the odds probably are higher than normal that he might have something to do with this.
It's possible.
Just because of the timing of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Which means that there is a face to this now. Was she that close that she got a good look at the face?
Oh yeah, she knows. She said, because I told her, I said, "Well, what I want you to do is pay extremely close attention to your surroundings, watch for that vehicle, but more importantly, watch for that man's face." And she's like, "I will not forget his face because he looks like a skinny version of one of my coworkers." She's like, "I will not forget that face." And I said, "Good. No matter what, you see him anywhere, you turn around and either go to the most public place you can find or either just get away from him. Don't go near him. Period. The end. Stay away."
Yeah. Stay away. Call me.
Yeah. I mean, just
Now,
avoid it at all cost.
Steve, are you married?
Nope, divorced.
Divorced. Do you have anybody in your life that is of significance, like a wife or somebody that's close to you that they would try to get at?
I do, actually. But
So-
she has not encountered anything as to my knowledge.
Good. I mean, it's good. And I'm assuming you talked to her about this stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, good. At least she's aware of it and stuff. You guys, Steve, kids?
Yes.
How many?
2.
You mind saying the ages?
14 and 11.
14, 11. That's a better situation than Kyle. But have you guys talked to your kids about this at all?
I have not.
Not really. The most I just drill it into my kid's head. Don't go near anybody you don't know, period, the end. Don't open the door for anybody, period, the end. You only let mom and dad deal with that.
Right. If I were you guys, I would reinforce that message.
Oh yeah.
More. Well,
and I mean,
just so that it's fresh in their head.
Yeah, and I got cameras around the house now, so.
Bro, you trust those cameras? I'm like, nah, man, they're gonna hack it.
It's better than nothing.
No, it's true. No, and that's good. I mean, I'm glad you got the cameras, because then if something, God forbid, something were to get more personal, at least you have it on video, as long as the video, quote unquote, worked.
Yeah. Well, and there's animals and
good
other goodies around the house too. So
yeah, and that's another thing. Do either one of you, as far as your significant others, do they carry? I know, Kyle, you carry.
Yeah. My wife doesn't normally carry out and about, but she knows how to defend herself. So
good. But the best situation is to run.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the best way to win a fight, is just to run away. So
well, there you go.
You know what I mean? But guys, man, tripped out beyond belief. And I think there's so much to go down with this road. I hope that the people listening right now, I hope they thought of a million different scenarios that we didn't think about today, and they contact you. Don't contact me. Okay? And it's not me saying that I don't want to be involved. It's me saying I'm not the person to contact. I'm not getting the messages. I'm not, like, this is happening to you guys, and you guys should be getting that information to bounce back and forth with the person who's thinking of the idea. I don't want to be the middleman here, because listen, I got a lot on my plate, and I will forget to even message the guys and tell them what I got. Like, it's so if you're listening to this and you think you have something, contact the fellas at Holosky Podcast. And fellas, what is the episodes that you discussed this on? Do you know offhand?
So the original one was episode 74, and it's called Flyers, Dreams, and End of the World Cult. And then the other one is episode 89, Interview and Egress Industries.
Okay.
It's got a name at the front of that. So
you've talked about it twice on your show.
Yes, that's it.
Okay. That's good to know. And the audience should definitely, you heard their story today. What you want to do is you want to go back and listen to episode 74 and 89. Of course, all the other episodes, guys. I get it. Okay. But pertaining to this topic, check out those episodes. And I encourage the audience to listen to this conversation, listen to what they talk about in those two episodes, and start thinking outside the box. This is a great thought experiment for you to take a situation that you're not part of, yet, but think about what are the possibilities. I mean, you heard several times just by the guys talking to me that I was able to present different scenarios that they hadn't thought of yet. It's very helpful for people to get other points of view of people who are not in that situation, because you might think it's silly. Oh, they surely have thought of that. They might not have. And it'd be very important for you to share those thoughts with them. And I'm assuming you guys encourage that. Maybe not.
Absolutely.
Okay. So check out those episodes, check out Holosky Podcast, and, give them a subscribe, leave a 5-star rating or review, help them out. So
there you go.
But, seriously, check it out, friends, because it's something that listen, this is something that I'm going to be, I don't think I have a choice anymore. I have to think about this more, and I'm going to be in touch with you guys. Kyle, I got your number. Steve, get the number off him. Kyle, I think I give you my personal, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So share numbers. I want everybody's numbers. I want to be in contact with you guys about this. And for the audience listening, we're going to actually do another segment here for the overtime. And we're going to talk about some of your paranormal experiences, which going into your paranormal experiences, knowing what we see going on here, I'm going to be thinking differently. Just because, let's rewind here. One of those flyers said something. It was listing, have you experienced this, that, and the other, right? Have you guys had any experiences that were pertaining to that flyer at all?
Not that I've put a lot of thought into, to be honest.
Thank God. I want to be able to relax this next time around. All right.
Yeah.
Like I literally want to just sit here and listen to ghost stories right now. That's relaxing. So.
Mine are mostly about aliens. So
freaking A. Okay. Okay. I see in the background you got somebody being abducted. That's gonna be fun. Okay. Listen, guys, thank you so much for coming on the Confessionals to share your story. This is something that I think was very beneficial for me, hopefully for you guys, and hopefully for the audience to listen in on and just understand that this world, like I say, is crazy. And if you think you got it all figured out, if you think you got a firm grasp of reality, you might want to stop listening to this show, because we go into freaking the crazy, because people have bananas experiences that you would think it's hard to believe. It sounds like it's out of a movie. It ain't. This stuff happens to people. And you guys are firsthand experiencers of it. And shoot, man. The fact that you have a podcast and you're experiencing it, and what you described, it sounds like it's a very firm, organized organization. And the fact that you have a podcast, I don't think is an accident that they're in communication the way they have been.
Probably not.
Yeah, that was my thoughts too.
Think about it this way. If I am trying to put on a psyop, I'm going to start the ball rolling, and I'm going to start seeing what kind of fish I can reel in. And what if you guys were one of the first, if the only podcast platform that got involved? Well, we're going to use your stage now, you know?
Absolutely.
And along that line of thinking, I'd be very interested to see if, I don't even want to say it, but I'll say it. I'm curious to see if you guys get a text about me or something, you know, it's interesting. I'm not encouraging it, and I don't want you guys to fake a text to make me feel good. I'm not interested.
No.
Absolutely not.
Like, I'm not interested.
Not our style.
It's just the thought process that I'm going through. This is what we do. Think outside the box. And so, guys, killer. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Before we get out of here, I've mentioned several times, Holosky Podcast, episode 74, episode 89, and then episode 1 through whatever they got. Where else can people find you? If they want to reach out to you, what's the best way to do it? Is it email? Is it IG, Facebook? I don't encourage it, but whatever, you know?
Yeah, we're pretty good about anything. You can email us. You can message us on any of the social medias, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We're pretty good about responding. So if you just send it our way, we'll probably find it.
Awesome. And you got an email or anything that you want to give out, or no?
Just Holosky Podcast at gmail.com.
Okay. There you go.
I know you got a lot of Bigfoot followers with your community. Hop on over to our webpage and check out the story that's taken off right now. I've never heard about it, but it is crazy.
What? Come on. Tell me, just something. Give me something.
Horsehair braiding.
Oh yeah, dude.
I've never heard about that. And my wife's cousin sent me pictures, the whole 9. We've got the inside story on it. And I'm like, what? I didn't even know this was a thing.
Yeah.
And
so where can they find it?
It's blowing our page up. Scott, it's crazy how.
What page? Facebook?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, some theorize that Bigfoot likes to get down, you know?
That's what we heard. It's so crazy.
They're like, listen, I'm going to serenade you, and I'm going to give you a new hairdo when this is all done. Don't even worry about it. You're going to look good.
When people started sending that our way, I'm like, what in the hell is even going on anymore?
Guys, listen, it's a phenomenon. It's a phenomenon.
Dude, it's so crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. All right, guys, let's get crazy on the next segment for the overtime. If you're a member, go ahead to the overtime segment right now. It's there posted for you, where we're going to get into it with the guys and their paranormal experiences. And freaking Kyle has some kind of alien stuff, and we're talking. Gosh, I don't even know where we're going to go with it, but After this, who knows? All right. Well, that's the show, everybody. I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you did enjoy it, please share this show with your friends. I think this is one of the best interviews we've ever done on the Confessionals, and I hope you share it around everywhere on the internet. And if you're an internet sleuth, we're interested in hearing your thoughts and opinions as to what is going on. Please email the guys. They just dropped their email address. Please email them if you have thoughts, because they are trying to put the puzzle pieces together as we speak right now. Listen, we have the overtime segment right now on the website. Go ahead and check out the other hour and a half of these guys' paranormal experiences that are jaw-dropping right there in the overtime segment on the website. If you're a member, go there now. And until next week, friends, stay safe, take care, and remember, the truth will set you free, but first it'll piss you off or scare you. Bye.
And I look over and there's this big black dog at the front of my house. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. So I try walking up to it, and because it looked kind of like a black lab. I mean, it was dark out, but it reminded me of a black lab. And labs are typically pretty friendly animals. Walked up to it, and it started to growl at me. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go ahead and go inside. I'm not dealing with this dog. I go inside, look out the kitchen window, which is probably 8 feet off the ground, and I don't see the dog out there. So I'm thinking, all right, well, it must have left. And it wasn't 2 seconds after that, the dog, its head was in that window. It had jumped up into the window, and it like snapped at me. And I'm like, what in the hell is going on? I'm like, I've never seen anything like this. So I just kind of brush it off. I see the dog walk in front of the garage to around the house. I'm like, all right, well, maybe it's leaving. So this is going to show my age. I jump on MSN Messenger, start talking with my girlfriend, chatting her up, and my mom's in the same room. She's sleeping on the couch. Well, all of a sudden I start hearing pitter patters on the roof, running across the roof. And if my wife was here, she could finish the story for me. I'm sitting there on MSN Messenger, and I message her and I say, I think somebody's trying to break into my house. And she's like, what? Are you serious? I'm like, I can hear someone running on the roof. And so I try waking my mom up. My mom's like, you're nuts, go to bed. So I'm like, great, now I got to deal with this myself. I hear it a couple more times, and then it stops. So I'm like, whatever. I'm messaging her, and I'm like, you know what? This is just too stressful. I'm gonna go to bed. Well, as I get off there, start walking down to my bedroom, and I start hearing this loud banging, like boom, 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 boom. And right before my bedroom, there was a little offshoot of the hallway that we called the utility room. I had the washer and dryer in there, a single bathroom, and then a door that led outside. And whatever it was beating on that door. It was just going boom, 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 boom. And I stood there and looked at that door and was utterly terrified. And it seemed like, I'm like, okay, I'm going to my bedroom. Walked into my bedroom, and then all of a sudden the banging started underneath the window. Boom, 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 boom.